we now have our divisional round setup. And this is my favorite weekend in all of sports. I know people like the first weekend of the tournament or the Masters weekend or the Kentucky Derby weekend, whatever. This is my favorite weekend in sports. It's 8 football teams, 4 high-level football games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And I want to start with the NFC. And let's go ahead and start with Sunday's game because that's the market that's just is most recent to having opened last night. And that's the Rams going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll, of course, carry this conversation, PJ, into the next segment. But right now, Philadelphia is a 6-point favorite over at BetMGM. The total is 44. That's the consensus number elsewhere in the market. Early thoughts, side total, Rams at the Eagles. Of course, the Rams now on a short week traveling to the city of brotherly love.
Yeah, my initial thoughts are I actually kind of like the Eagles in this game, -6. I think that's a little short. I think it should be closer to a touchdown. I know. I'm sorry. I'm coming on here.
I mean, this is the
Ramily
program.
I know.
And he's singing Fly, Eagles, Fly.
I know.
I
know. I hate to do it. But I don't know. Like, the Rams are just one of those teams that I just do not like them when they go outside. I don't like them when they go outside, and I don't like when we get them in cold weather. I never have. Stafford, obviously, his entire career has been a dome quarterback, whether he was with Detroit or now with the Rams. He's been used to that his entire career. So I just don't like these teams, especially a team in L.A. where it's all sunshine. You know, you play in a dome, and then you got to travel across the country, play in Philadelphia in cold weather. And it just feels like, Femi, right now, you know, and this is what you look for in betting, where you got a team whose stock right now is really high in L.A., you know, pulling off a win as an underdog, dominating fashion against Minnesota versus an Eagles team that, yeah, they won and they covered the spread, but by no means did they look good at all. You know, Jalen Hurts didn't look great. A.J. Brown had 1 catch. Saquon, you know, had a good game, but didn't have like a great, like, game-breaking Saquon game. But that Eagles defense, you know, I think they can match up really well with the Rams. You're talking about maybe the best secondary in the NFL. And obviously with the Rams receiving options, they should be able to limit them pretty good. And the Rams are a team that wants to run the ball and obviously wants to set up the play action game off of that. And with Jalen Carter in the middle, it's going to be tough to do that. So, you know, a lot of people think Jalen Hurts didn't play good at all against Philly. And, you know, you look at like some of the highlights in the tape of the game, and the Green Bay secondary did a great job. They did a great job on those Eagles receivers in coverage. So Hurts really didn't have like many options to throw the ball. And you got to remember, too, it was his first game in like 3 weeks. He had the concussion against Washington. We haven't seen him again. So maybe working some of that rust off. I like Philly in this game. I think their defense is going to be the difference. I think it's going to be another lower scoring game, so I like that under 44 too. But I think anything under a touchdown, Femi, haven't bet it yet, but certainly leaning towards taking Philly -6.
PJ, you know why Jalen Hurts couldn't find any open receivers? Because his offensive coordinator sucks. And the passing game is unimaginative. That's why. That's why he couldn't find any open receivers. And that's the biggest problem with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, their coaching staff is not very good. Outside of Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio knows what he's doing. His defense is elite, and that's why they play the way they do. Sirianni, Kellen Moore, get him out of here. And I don't know if I can trust these guys laying the 6 against a competent coaching staff, a really good coaching staff that's led by Sean McVay, that's won a Super Bowl. And now I'm getting 6 with McVay against Sirianni in a playoff game. Oh, man. To me, I have not bet the side yet, but I want to see where this goes because and we'll talk more about it on the other side, but I'm very tempted to go ahead and take the 6 with the Los Angeles Rams. I obviously have thoughts on the total. We discussed that yesterday when we were breaking down hypothetical divisional round matchups. Now that we do have this matchup, I still like the total quite a bit. And we've seen a little bit of movement actually on the over this afternoon. This got down to as low as 43 this morning. But ever since then, we've seen some over money show up. So 44 is now the new consensus number. There are a couple 44.5s in the market. I bet under 45 last night. We talked about this on the show on Monday about how, if this is the matchup we get, I'm going to like the under quite a bit. I was always going to like the under. Whether it was Vikings-Eagles or Rams-Eagles, I was going to like the under. And I really like the under in this particular game because we've seen this Rams offense have to go against that Eagles defense. And that was indoors. That was at home. And it wasn't that good. And now it's on the road in perhaps cold temperatures, definitely, maybe even inclement weather with perhaps some rain and some snow. Who knows what's happening in Philadelphia later on this Sunday. I could see the Rams struggling mightily on offense. And on the flip side, Like you were talking about this, and I was kind of joking about the Kellen Moore situation with the Philadelphia Eagles. But part of that is in truth, though, that this Eagles offense, it doesn't seem to be in rhythm, especially the passing game. Now, the running game, that's awesome. And like Saquon Barkley had the 200-yard game against the Rams earlier this season. Like he could go off again, especially if Kellen Moore relies on the run game. That's definitely something that could happen. But we've seen in past times, whether it's with the Cowboys or with the Chargers or even this season with the Philadelphia Eagles, sometimes Kellen Moore forgets about the run game. Sometimes he'll go an entire quarter and Saquon Barkley gets 2 carries. And here's Kenneth Gainwell, or here's Jalen Hurts dropping back to go ahead and try to find A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert down the field. And those guys are really good, but the best thing the Eagles do is run the football, and sometimes they go away from that. So in this game, I could see the Eagles. I don't think it's going to look as clunky as it did against the Packers last Sunday, where it was atrocious, and they easily could have lost the game if Green Bay just did, not turn the ball over. But I do think that we're still going to see the Eagles kind of just stuck in mud a little bit to where even if they do win and they do cover this game, my guess it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game. Like if the Eagles cover, I'm thinking it's like Philly 20, the Rams 13, something in that range, to where like the Eagles just suffocate them and we just don't get much scoring at all. I don't think we're going to see an awesome scoring output from the Eagles or the Rams. So the under is the bet that I like the most in this game, but I'll probably find my way on the Rams as well at some point between now and kickoff.
Femi, I'm kind of in lockstep with you in terms of like the under in this game, and I lean Philly minus the 6, but I actually think the play that I like the best is that Rams team total under. So I agree with you at 19.5. I kind of think that's the play, right? I'm with you. I think it's going to be low scoring. The Rams could obviously still cover this game and go under 19.5, and I think that's the play. We were talking last segment, and I just told you that I just don't like the Rams outdoors. I don't like them in cold weather. You were looking at the weather forecast for Philly, and it's still obviously early in the week, but could potentially be some snow, maybe some rain, depending on how cold it is. And like you look at the 2 outdoor games that the Rams played this year in December, they played at San Francisco in that Thursday night game. I'm sure people remember where it was raining. There wasn't any touchdowns scored. Stafford threw for 160 yards. They won 12-6. Then the following week, they go to New York. They play the Jets outdoors in cold weather. They win that game 19-9. Stafford throws for 110 yards. So he's just historically never been good in cold weather. He's never been good when it's raining. And now you're going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So, Femi, I kind of agree with you. Because of how well their defense is playing, and 6 is obviously a lot of points, they could cover. But I actually think that now that we're talking about it, I really like the Rams team total under 19.5. I think that's probably my favorite play in this game.
Do you think that off of last night's performance that the Rams are going to become sort of like the trendy underdog? Because you have a better gauge for this stuff than I do. Like, I don't really listen to a lot of the noise and what everyone's betting, what recreational bettors are betting. But like, do you think that that's where we're headed? Because we all saw the Rams in primetime. Last thing we saw, Monday Night Football, everyone's watching, and they were dominant against the Minnesota Vikings. Are they going to become that team that everyone says, oh, look out for the Rams, like a team that I love, and I want everyone to have to look out for the Rams, but I don't know if I love everyone being on the bandwagon. I don't think the bandwagon is big enough for everyone to be on the Los Angeles Rams. Like, which direction do you see this going in terms of what recreational bettors are going to do with this game?
I think more public money will probably be on the Rams in the game, but I think, Femi, more people view last night more about Minnesota and Darnold and KOC probably than they give the Rams credit for that win. So I think that the public perception will be higher on the Rams, but I think people will definitely be low on this Eagles team just because, again, the big knock around Philly is their passing game, right? We know how great Saquon is. We know how good the defense is. But if you're able to stop the Eagles and you're able to put them in predictable passing situations, can they make you pay? They didn't do that against Green Bay. And with the way that Rams pass rush looked last night against Minnesota, I think that'll have a lot of people liking the Rams. So I do. I think more people will be on the Rams in this game. Stafford's the better quarterback. McVay's the better head coach. They won a Super Bowl together. They're playing really good football at the right time. So I do, but I also think people, again, will probably see the game like I do, and they'll see that the way Minnesota was trending, how they looked against Detroit, and then ultimately how they looked against the Rams, and now the Rams got to fly across the country and take on the Eagles. They obviously played earlier in the year. The Eagles whooped them in SoFi. It'll be an interesting game, and like you, I want to see where this line goes, right? It immediately opened 6.5. Got bet down to 5.5, and then we saw this morning go down to 6. So My guess, Femi, is this closes at 6.5. I don't think we see a 7. I think it closes at 6.5. So for people out there like you that want to bet Los Angeles, I would wait. I think you're going to get a 6.5, and who knows, maybe at some shops you'll be able to get a 7 on LA.
I mean, I'd kill for a 7, to be quite honest. I might do that, honestly, if we get a 7.
You think it goes to 6.5, though? You think it goes up?
I could see, yeah. I can see that. I mean, we see some 6 minus 113 that's out there. Like 6 minus 110 is your consensus, but we were some sports books opened 6.5. Now the half they all got bet, but it would not shock me that once we get the injury report later on in the weeks, the limits start to raise a little bit. That we do see Eagles money hit the market because like a lot of the numbers guys, a lot of the modelers, they've liked the Eagles all season long, and they've been proven to be right. Like this team is awesome. They're really, really good. I want to fade them, and I have questions about their coaching staff, but I must admit, like this team on paper is amazing. But I just think in a one-off scenario, it would not surprise me if we went ahead and sat back Sunday night and we all said, how the hell did the Eagles lose that game? Because they had that kind of performance this past Sunday against the Packers. It's just that Green Bay kind of rewrote the manual on how to lose a football game.